Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really digging into a true literary giant, Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre.
Absolutely. A classic.
And you've sent us a fascinating stack of sources. Our mission really is to unpack this novel far beyond just the simple love story it often seems to be. We want to explore how it defies expectations, challenges ideas of love, morality, and, well, how it stands as this powerful statement on growth, faith, even women's rights.
Yeah, it's one of those novels many people feel they know, maybe inside and out.
Right.
But what's truly compelling, and what these sources really highlight, is how Jane Eyre constantly questions the very archetypes it seems to embody.
Okay.
And that's where it gets really interesting, I think. We start uncovering layers of meaning that still resonate so much today.
Okay, so let's start right there then, unpacking the love story idea.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, Jane Eyre feels like a classic romance. You know, the Cinderella story, maybe?
Sure, that trope.
Thwarted lovers, overcoming obstacles, finally getting together. But straight away, our sources are saying, hang on, it subverts that.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, think about it. Jane herself, she isn't described as pretty, humble, or submissive.
No, not at all.
And Rochester, he's hardly the young, handsome, or chivalrous hero figure.
Right.
This really goes against the grain of, well, conventional literary romance back then. One source claims it a real tour de force, especially because Jane Austen's heroines had already started pushing those boundaries a bit.
Interesting.
Bronte just takes it further. It forces you, the reader, to look beyond the surface traits right from the start.
So that immediately makes you ask, what does this different approach tell us about Jane Eyre's view of love? Especially maybe compared to someone like Jane Austen.
Yeah, that comparison is crucial. It's a really key distinction. In Austen, you often see sensual love presented as, well, maybe morally suspect and dangerous.
Okay, something to be managed.
Exactly. Managed within society's rules. But Bronte, she shows it as a potential force for mutual good and growth.
But not simple growth.
No, not simple at all. It's
Fine.
not all sweetness and light. It can also be, as the source says, a catalyst for despair. It's much more complicated, volatile even.
And what I found really fascinating in the sources was how Bronte's definition of love is just so expansive, almost overwhelming.
Tell me more.
It includes anger, jealousy, sex, joy, fear, desire, longing, pain, friendship, loss. It's everything.
Right, the whole spectrum.
It's not just presented as pleasant or, benign. The sources emphasize its foundation is moral, metaphysical, and cosmic, as much as it is personal and physical. It gets described as deeply satisfying as it is apparently incapable of offering the fulfillment of peace and serenity.
Yeah.
It's this kind of beautiful but also incredibly messy all in force.
And that sprawling, intense view of love, it almost perfectly mirrors that shift, doesn't it? From 18th century rationalism, think Austen's societal norms measured emotion,
Order.
to 19th century romanticism, that's Bronte. Delving into raw, intense, individual feeling, the untamed human spirit.
Yeah.
Bronte herself saw this difference. She famously critiqued Austen, saying she ruffles her reader by nothing vehement, the passions are perfectly unknown to her.
Strong words.
Yeah. Bronte felt Austen focused too much on the outside, human eyes, mouth, hands, and feet, rather than, and this is a great quote, what throbs fast and full though hidden, what the blood rushes through, what is the unseen seat of life, Miss Austen ignores.
So basically, Austen got the surface, but missed the messy, passionate inner stuff.
That was Bronte's take, yeah. Which, it makes you ask yourself, what kind of love story actually resonates more with you, the ordered or the passionate?
That's a good question. But for all those differences, the sources do tell us that both Bronte and Austen shared a fundamentally Christian outlook.
That's right, a very important common ground.
Which means that while finding love, a loving union, might be seen as an ultimate destiny, it wasn't necessarily the essential one, the most important thing.
Exactly. And mid-20th century criticism, people like Kathleen Tillotson, really brought that religious dimension back into focus. It had maybe been overlooked for a while.
Okay.
They argued the novel's real inclusiveness and unity comes from Jane's spiritual growth as well as her emotional adventure.
So it's two parallel journeys.
Kind of, yeah. Every big stage of her life, that tough childhood at Gateshead, her time at Lowood School, finding maturity at Thornfield and Marsh End, then fulfillment at Ferndean.
Right.
Each one is explicitly marked by spiritual suffering, but also renewal. She's constantly wrestling with her faith, her sense of self.
And Rochester goes through something similar.
He does, eventually. He even says, I was forced to pass through the valley of the shadow of death. It's a spiritual transformation for him, too.
So, while many readers focus on the romance,
Mm-hmm.
what do the sources suggest is really at the core of Jane's path, if not just finding Mr. Rochester?
Well, that's a crucial point. The critic Robert Martin argued, quite convincingly, I think, that the true test for Jane wasn't whether Jane should have become Rochester's mistress.
Right, that moral dilemma.
But rather that of finding the right relationship with God.
Okay.
It's about becoming worthy of love. Not just grabbing it when it's offered, perhaps illicitly, but actually growing your own soul, your own nature, to deserve it properly.
So, earning it in a spiritual sense.
Precisely. Jane and Rochester, by learning to respect the inviolability of the soul as much as earthly delights, they become this kind of microcosm of man's striving for Christian reward.
Wow. Okay, so the novel clearly has this deep spiritual backbone.
Undeniably.
But what's also fascinating is how these same sources then reveal this other powerful way of reading it, which really came to the fore maybe in the 1980s, the feminist reading.
Indeed, yeah. A very influential perspective. Scholars like Sandra Bilbert and Susan Gubar, for example, they read Jane Eyre as a distinctively female Pilgrim's Progress.
Okay, referencing Bunyan's classic allegory.
Exactly, but reframing it. Jane's struggle from the imprisonment of her childhood toward an almost unthinkable goal of mature freedom. They see that as symptomatic of difficulties every woman in a patriarchal society must meet and overcome. It becomes a universal female quest.
And they map that quest onto her specific trials, right? Like oppression at Gateshead.
Yes, and starvation, both literal and metaphorical, at Lowood.
Madness at Thornfield Bertha, but maybe Jane's own passions too.
Absolutely. And the coldness, the emotional and spiritual chill at Marsh End with St. John Rivers.
It maps really neatly.
It does. And what's remarkable is this wasn't an entirely new thought. Even back in 1855, the novelist Margaret Oliphant, though she was a bit dismissive, she saw Jane Eyre as the new generation nailing its colors to the mast. She called the furious lovemaking a kind of wild declaration of the rights of woman in a new aspect.
So even contemporaries saw that rebellious spark.
They did, even if they didn't fully approve. But what's so striking is how all these interpretations, spiritual, feminist, romantic, can coexist. It just shows the novel's incredible depth and its capacity to be read on so many different levels.
It really is incredible how Jane Eyre manages to hold all these diverse elements together. Christian, feminist, spiritual, rebellious, personal, social. So what is it, ultimately, that ties all these threads together? What gives it that cohesive power?
Well, the sources seem to converge on this idea.
Yeah.
It's the novel's deep, overwhelming commitment to depicting the struggle of an individual consciousness towards fulfillment.
Okay, that inner journey.
Yes. Within and against all the constraints, social, religious, personal, that shape a life, it's seen as a powerful tribute to Bronte's romantic predecessors, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Byron, who also really focused on that inner life, the individual experience.
And Bronte had a very specific aim, didn't she? According to Q.D. Leavis in that famous 1966 Penguin introduction.
Yes. Leavis argued Bronte wanted to achieve something through the novel, through prose fiction, that was just as serious, vital, and significant as what her favorite poets were doing.
So elevating the novel form.
Absolutely. She wanted to voice the tragic experience of life, be true to the experience of the whole woman, and really convey a sense of life's springs and undercurrents, get beneath the surface.
Which Leavis saw as a huge achievement.
A critical achievement of the first order, Leavis called it, and argued that this kind of ambition ultimately helped make the novel the major art form of the 19th century.
Wow.
And the power, the depth, it comes precisely because it holds these tensions, these different ways of seeing within itself. It doesn't offer easy answers.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, the listener, picking up Jane Eyre today or maybe rereading it? We've seen it's way more than just Cinderella. It's a subversion of that. It's a complex look at love beyond just pleasure. It's a deep spiritual quest. And it's a pioneering feminist text.
Right. The real power of Jane Eyre, I think, is in those layers. It really challenges you to look beneath the surface of the story.
To question assumptions.
Exactly. Assumptions about love, about morality, about what it means to have individual agency, especially as a woman in that time, but maybe still today.
It invites you to think about not just Jane's outward journey, the different houses, the different people,
Hmm.
but her constant, relentless internal struggle, that fight for fulfillment against all the obstacles life throws up.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful reminder that truly getting a story often means appreciating all its multiple facets, even the ones that seem to contradict each other sometimes.
Well said. And maybe the ultimate takeaway is something to ponder. If Jane Eyre genuinely represents, as Leva suggested, the tragic experience of life and the whole woman,
Yeah.
what does that suggest about our own struggles, our own complex journeys toward fulfillment in the world we live in now? And maybe what does it really mean to truly deserve love in the way Jane had to learn to?